Hey guys, I'm Trui and this channel is all about helping you to become a better streamer. Stream smarter, not harder. And today I'm going to talk about how you can entertain even if there's nobody there. But before we begin, I stream every Tuesday, Friday and Sunday 8 PM Central European Time on twitch.tv/Trui. Link is also underneath in the description. Make sure to hop in and say hi. I've been streaming for over 2.5 years now, and I've been to a lot with my streaming career. When I started out streaming, there was actually nobody watching. And this might be the point where you are at right now. You have been streaming for a couple of times, or maybe even a month, 2 months, 3 months, and there's just nobody coming. You're sitting there and asking yourself, should I actually still be talking because nobody is listening? In the last years, my stream has been growing, and I don't really am at the point anymore that there's nobody watching and I'm talking to myself. But sometimes, even sometimes, there's just nobody talking. There are people viewing, but I'm not sure if they're there because they're just lurking. And I had a couple of times that the Twitch chat was broken and I've been like talking to myself for over an hour, and I would actually think that there was nobody in chat, but people just couldn't type. But even though it's going a lot better now with my stream, I still remember those days that there was nobody there. Looks like a pretty good team comp. We don't have hits cam though, but if they don't have a Farah, it's good, right? Those times were hard and you were just wondering why you were doing it. I really loved making something. I wanted to make something entertaining for somebody else. But there was nobody watching, so I was just not making something entertaining for somebody else. And you might be at this point right now because you're watching this video. I'm gonna give you some tips how you can talk to yourself when there's nobody watching, or when you think there's nobody watching, because sometimes there are people watching even if you don't know. The first thing you want to do is probably turn off your viewer count. Make sure that you can see it, because if you see a 0 as your view count, you might be discouraged. If there's nobody watching, why should I talk, right? But if you treat it as that there's somebody watching all the time, then at least you have somebody to talk to. To be honest, sometimes Twitch numbers aren't that accurate, so you might see a 0 even if there's somebody there. Think there's always somebody watching. There's always a chance to catch somebody's attention right now. Another thing to realize is that a lot of people that just found your stream by scrolling to the dictionary on Twitch are not going to be in there more than 30 seconds if you don't convince them to. Which means that if you don't talk for 30 seconds, they're probably gone. Because if you're quiet, you're guaranteed gonna miss out on views. Sometimes it's harder to talk than other times. I still even have that some days I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going great, I have a lot of stories to tell. And some days I'm like, I don't feel like talking that much and I don't know what to say. These days are hard. If you know you're gonna have one of those days because you're not feeling talkative the whole day already, it might be helpful to write down some stories you have. What did you do this week? What did you do when you were young? Do I have some interesting stories that I can tell, that I can fall back on? If you write those down, or just keep a mental note of them, then you have an easier time talking because you already thought of a story to tell. And then the easiest thing to talk about is actually talking about the game. Depending on which game you are playing, it's easier or harder to do so. So for example, if you stream Overwatch, you can talk about like, hey, these tanks are kind of out of position. I'm gonna try and heal this person right now because he's a priority. Or, oh, we need to think of this Junkrat ult that's coming up. Oh, there's a soldier behind us.
Oh no.
On the high ground. If you talk about these things, your viewers can understand your thought pattern better and will enjoy the gameplay more. And this is just an easy way to think about things to say because you're already thinking those things anyway. And this is not only true for fast-paced shooters, but if you're playing something like Don't Starve Together, you can talk about, hey, what do we need to build next? There are literally endless of options to talk about, but each game has its own kind of topic to talk about, and if you've played this game quite a lot, you already kind of know the game language and what you could talk about. And if you haven't played the game yet, then you can talk about things you do understand or you don't understand, or you can explain things that you found in the game. For example, if you play Pokemon and you don't know which Pokemon has an advantage over another one, you can say like, hey, I'm having a fire Pokemon right here, and I see the opponent has a grass Pokemon, and now I do an attack, a fire attack, and I see that grass opponent is taking a lot of damage. This way you explain to the viewer something you have discovered in the game. And it's going to feel weird to talk about things to somebody who isn't there. I'm actually making this video talking to somebody who isn't here. It kind of feels weird, but I know you're gonna watch it, so it's gonna be fine. This is why you have in mind that there's always somebody watching, because if you're talking to somebody, if you think you're talking to somebody, it feels a little bit more natural than if you know that you're not talking to somebody. And if you have troubles with getting people to watch you, I also have a video about networking on Twitch, so check that one out and maybe you can get some people in. Some people are just playing their own games and it's hard to grow. For example, if you play Fortnite or Call of Duty, there are a lot of other people that are streaming that. And because a lot of people are streaming this game, it's really hard to get noticed. Twitch standard filter is on highest view count on the top and lowest on the bottom. This means that if there are a lot of streamers right now, there are most of the time a lot of people with a higher view count than you, and you will be ending up at the bottom of the Twitch directory. You don't really want that. I also have a video about that, so you can find out which games are really good to stream. Check it out in the card. You also have the fact that you have single player games and multiplayer games. For some people it's easier to play a multiplayer game with a group of friends they already know, so they already can talk to people. There's a little downside of this though. If you focus too much on talking with your friends, you might miss people in chat, and like I said before, if you don't talk to them in about 30 seconds, they will leave. So make sure to keep an eye on the chat, and if somebody says something, make sure to react on it. For others like me, it is easier to play in single player game. This way you have everything in control. Because if you play a multiplayer game, people can say stuff that you don't want them to say. Or they can take over a stream because they have more energy than you have. Ah! Boom! We won. So if you play a single player game, you have everything in control. But it's harder, because you have to do all the talking. Try out playing single player games, but also try out playing multiplayer games and see what works for you. Does it help me that I have teammates that are also talking, or do I rather have everything in my own hands? And if somebody comes in your chat, please, please, please say something back. If they say hello, ask them how they're doing. Try and ask as many open questions as you can. For example, if they say, good, I went to a birthday party today. Ask them, oh, whose birthday was it? And if they say their aunt, ask like, oh, your aunt and you have a good relationship? Do you see her often? How old did she become? You can think of countless of questions. You should ask them all. Not at the same time, give them time to respond, but try and ask as many questions as you can, so you keep them talking and you keep them engaged. So if you tell about a birthday party of their aunt that they're gonna go to next week, they will be amazed if next week you ask them, how did it go? How was the birthday party? They would absolutely love that. So we've been talking about how you can talk more on your stream, but we haven't talked about something really important, and that's your microphone. If you just started streaming, I can imagine that you didn't spend a lot of money buying an expensive microphone. This is totally fine. But if you have a microphone that is sounding really bad and people can't really understand what you're saying, this is gonna be a real downside. So make sure and listen to your microphone. Do you think people can understand you well? Or does it sound so horrible that you would click away on a stream? If that's the case, you need to replace your microphone. If you don't really know what you could buy, I would recommend the Blue Yeti. This is the microphone I have right now. You plug it in the USB and it will instantly work. It's really easy to set up and it's quite good quality for a USB microphone. If you have any other questions about talking on stream or just about anything else related to streaming, leave them down in the comments below. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell icon for notifications so you will get notified whenever I post new streaming support tips. And I will see you in the next video.